Good evening. I am the narrator, and welcome to my parlor. Tonight's story is Origins. This story concerns a friend of mine. The event was the stuff of campfires. I hope that keeps your interest. We were the same age and years, though not in mind and body. I was, without question, his superior. I led, and he followed. He came to our village an orphan, having either no parents or none who would claim him. There was no orphanage, so my family took him in. He never felt like a sibling. His words and behavior were alien, both to us and to the village. Everyone saw. My mother fed him differently and forbade him to consume our meals. Townsfolk eyed him with suspicion and avoided him. My peers teased me about him. I couldn't explain our association. His peculiarities were profound. His mind and body didn't age. As an adult, he kept a child's size and likeness, and mind, needing constant supervision. Still, he grew up intact. When the time came, I moved from my parents' hovel to my own nearby. In our village, this meant going into the world. Predictably, he moved with me, and I didn't mind. We had our own rooms, but again, he needed constant supervision. I worked tending horses at the local stable. He helped. Though he did nothing, our employer charitably approved. Our days went as follows. I worked. He watched. I walked home. He followed. Then I would relax while he cooked simple meals. He never knew I hated them. I had nights to myself. I relished them, knowing he would be beside me come morning. We saw my parents daily. We visited every Sunday, where things went as they had in our youth. My mother made 2 dinners, one for us and one for him. Every week they took me aside and whispered, "How is he?" "He's fine," I would say. He would stand in the kitchen, oblivious. Gradually, though, his self-awareness grew. He knew he differed, and that others knew he did. In time, he sought to know why and asked my help. I agreed, having always wondered myself. Our quest was long and arduous. "We should begin at the town hall," I suggested. "What's that?" he asked. "It's a building where the village history is recorded," I explained. "Whoa," he went. In wonderment, he followed me. Of the clerk, I sought the town records. After brief scrutiny, they were granted. He joined me, and the clerk supervised. I read, he waited. Both were for naught. There was nothing we didn't already know. The clerk viewed us with suspicion all the while. I returned the book, and we left. He seemed relieved. This was because of my friend, whether he knew it or not. I then made a realization. Were we to discover his origins, we would have to visit the city. If he was a black sheep in the village, he would there be a walking target. My proposal overwhelmed him. He had never heard of the city, having assumed the earth ended at the village. "It's much larger. It has much more information," I explained. "All right," he nodded, seeming intimidated. I set a date and told him we have to pack. Change of clothes, a sack of coins. He did, without knowing why. Travel and lodging were foreign concepts. For my part, I had never left the village myself and based my instructions only on hearsay. I didn't care to walk the distance, and he couldn't withstand it. Luckily, there lived a merchant who had his own horses and carriage and passed it routinely on business. He happened to be doing so the day we left. I managed to reserve his back seats, then told my parents. "I believe in you," my father said. "What if something happens?" my mother asked. "Nothing will," I told her. "He has to see the world." Thus ended our conversation. The time came and we bid adieu. Our ride awaited. We boarded, to his and his horse's disquiet. He squinted and curled his lip. They did the same. After settling in the carriage, we didn't go right away. The horses refused to budge. The owner had to exert himself. He called them, unease in his tone and in their feet. My friend was oblivious. A shadow was cast, one I couldn't shake. My friend turned his head and peered outside the window. He watched keenly, sights he couldn't have conceived before. In fact, the landscape was plain and undistinguished. I thought only of our hosts. Our rider said nothing to us or to his steeds, which halted at routine intervals. All the while, my friend was transfixed and unaware. In time, the horses paused. I was afraid. Had my friend caused a problem? Were we to be expunged? "We've arrived," our host announced. I wasn't relieved. We had escaped one calamity, only to risk many more. The door opened. We stepped to the ground, luggage in hand. I stretched my limbs and relaxed, calm before the storm. My friend waved farewell to our benefactors. The man just looked away as the horses sped off. There stood the gates and city guards. Your purpose? One asked. We're from the village. He then admitted us. We entered as he watched in unease. My companion had many questions. Why do walls surround the city? Why is the entrance guarded? Why do the buildings tower so? I answered curtly, knowing he wouldn't seek full explanations. Our goal was my sole focus. We stepped forth, his eyes widened at its great brick structures, steeples, and gargoyles. The pedestrians were as predicted. Their puzzled faces were reserved for me, wondering the nature of our relationship. I couldn't answer, just look away and keep moving. In the marketplace were merchants and tables. They sold things villagers never saw. It mattered not. I had no money, and he could eat only meals made for him. The merchants guarded their tables. I was no threat, but couldn't vouch for him. For once I began to wonder, and buried the thought. The Hall of Records would be in the city center. Though I had never been, I could assume. The building soon appeared. Its size and ornateness impressed me, but again, mattered not. We walked up the steps, and inside explained our purpose. Staff saw my companion and responded. Their library was vast. If not for the staff, who vanished soon after, navigation would have been impossible. The help was for naught. Nowhere in the volumes was my companion. Surely the birth record would have noticed him. Alas, it hadn't. I wasn't defeated. My village's Hall of Records had a special volume of anomalies. Surely the city had one as well, much larger and more detailed. The former made no mention of him. The latter may. Could you help us again? I asked. I don't deal in superstition. The man declined. I was defeated. I shook my head at my companion. Surprisingly, he seemed not to care. I was greatly irritated. All that wasted time and energy. He left. This time I followed. Again, the clerk watched with suspicion. As the sky darkened above, in the market the merchants packed their wares and left. Their step quickened even before seeing us. My companion was unperturbed. Before, he was unaware of the disquiet he caused. Now he seemed to relish it. I, too, had felt this briefly and dispelled it. It now returned, and I found I couldn't. I watched the merchants hurry off and longed to do the same. To be rid of him. He grinned at me. I feigned one in return. He offered his hand. I obliged. I didn't want to, but didn't want to explain why. I'm not disappointed, he said calmly. He stared intently. He seemed to see through me. A mere inkling was now revulsion. I sought nothing more than to be rid of him, to separate myself by a vast distance and never see him again. To do so then, however, would have been unwise. He seemed to sense my unease, which was the worst thing yet. You've nothing to fear, he whispered, staring eagerly. I want you to meet someone in the bowels of the city, he continued. Only I know him, and only I can lead us to him. I was perplexed. He had never been to the city and knew no one there. Fine, I groaned. I knew you'd agree, he said with a wink. Ill at ease, I closed my eyes and followed, hearing no sounds but our own steps. I sensed he grinned. I knew our destination was desolate. Our speed increased. He skipped, his childlike nature now seeming perverse. The blowing air grew cold. Eventually he stopped. I was both frightened and relieved. Why have you closed your eyes? He asked. I don't know, I whispered. Open them, he sneered. I did. Before us stood a black void. Behind us was the city. The two flowed seamlessly into each other. My companion released my hand and pointed forth, then turned and grinned. I stared blankly as he spoke. The trip's not been a failure. My father has sensed my presence and spoken to me. I had been beside him all the while and had seen nothing. Still, I was too exhausted to question. I stared into the abyss to see what he saw. A form appeared, vaguely human. It beckoned, its hand glowing. My friend looked at it and then at me, then stood at its side. Together they beckoned. I'd followed out of fear and fascination, but could no longer. I stepped back, not minding their wrath, preferring misfortune to utter darkness. My companion spoke, and I listened. You've earned a special place with us. I turned, left, and did not look back. As I went, I heard, He has dismissed us. We must pursue. The figure said nothing. I continued through the darkened, slumbering city. A hand, cold as ice, gripped my shoulder. I froze. Pay him no heed. Your services are not required. someone whispered. The hand vanished, and with it the cold. I felt nothing, and wouldn't when I returned to the village. The details matter not. I simply trudged the same path in reverse. The village was as I had left it, including my home. "Where is he?" my parents asked. "We found his father," I told him. Thus ended the conversation. My days resumed. I forgot him, as if he never was. I know not how. I'm only glad I did. Years passed. Communication improved thanks to horseback letter carriers. My neighbors eagerly awaited even minutia, which I saw as irrelevant. One night, however, I heard a story pertaining to the city. My suspicions piqued. A religious sect had arisen there and drawn controversy. Its membership was secret. Its rites were held at night in hidden locations. Of their beliefs little was known, only that they had two figures of veneration.